Hey everyone, happy Friday and welcome to the Wilder Ride. Before we start the show, wanted to remind everybody that we do have a way of financially supporting what we're doing, and that is via our Patreon page at patreon.com/The Wilder Ride. And so it goes without saying, we owe some people a thank you. Let's start off with Tara Bain, who has been with us from the very beginning, our very first patron, a stalwart supporter of the Wilder Ride. Thank you, Tara. We have 2 executive producers we need to give top billing to next. That includes Wendy Muller, who joined us last season and has been a stalwart supporter. Thank you, Wendy, for all of your support and your activity in the listeners group. And to Ross Seymour, a golden ticket subscriber. You get executive producer credit as well. Ben Forty Ford, from across the pond, a member of the podcast team of 60 Minutes With, a podcast everyone should be subscribing and listening to. Unforgettable. We're not sure who you are. You've chosen a name that for us will always be unforgettable for supporting our show. Doug Greenberg, one of the hosts of The Rocky Minute, also a podcast you guys should be subscribing to. Doug, thank you so much. The husband and wife team of Matt and Valerie Biller, thank you guys. Matt came on board when we started doing our Patreon show Poltergeist and has been with us ever since. Off the Bounce, the basketball podcast. Thanks, Coach Peacock. We appreciate your support. A big shout out to Jeff Lieboff, one of the hosts of Radio Labyrinth, a podcast you guys should be following. Keep in mind, though, not safe for work. Also, a big thank you to Professor Robert E.G. Black, a podcaster himself, part of the Movies by Minutes family. He did the show Dave Made a Minute and Michael Myers Minute, also in the midst of The Room Minute. Yours truly, along with Walt, were both on Dave Made a Minute, and I was on the Michael Myers Minute. So thank you, Robert, for being a supporter. Melissa Moody, we appreciate your support being out there, and Rob Smithers. You guys are fantastic. It takes a lot to put on a show like this. If you'd like to be a supporter, please join our Patreon group. It starts as little as $1 a month. So let's get to it. Before we waste any more of your time, let's welcome to the stage, Gene Wilder.
Inside this room, all of my dreams become realities, and some of my realities become dreams.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here? Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You are listening to The Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Here are your hosts, Alan Sanders and Walt Murray.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Wilder Ride, getting wilder by the minute. Happy Friday to you. We are diving into our second season here. We've been looking at the film Blazing Saddles, and today we are looking at it. Why don't you slip into something? Oh, that's not right.
And we're off to a
one
slow clap.
One I feel refreshed minute at a time. I'm your host. I'm Alan Sanders.
I am your co-host, Walt Murray.
And joining us back from season 1, she's flown all the way back over from Transylvania, where she helped us break down some of Young Frankenstein. And now we're in the Old West. We welcome Susan Delmonico. How are you?
I am doing okay. It's Friday.
It is Friday. Friday's a good day.
Susan, remind me, were you on during Feet Week during Young Frankenstein? What week were you on? You were on 2 weeks, right?
She had some multiple minutes, yeah. She was with us when we talked about...
I was in the beginning, I think.
When we talked about what do they mean when he says every day, and I explained what it meant, and you no, that's not what it means. Right. I'm like, yeah, that's what it means. Yeah, every day?
There were a couple different ones.
That's right. Every day.
That's right. So one of the most awkward weeks of last season, and you'll get some awkward moments in this one.
Yay. Is this planned?
It is planned.
Do you think you're going to make me feel uncomfortable? I'm just curious.
I'm hoping to make you feel a little bit more comfortable. I got a screen right over there. Now, the audience can't see, but we're okay. You want to go ahead and slip into something? It's right there. It's just... Now, if I want to... Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself because there is so much that happens in this minute. We have been built... Do you realize, Walt, we have been with Madeline Kahn for like the last 2 weeks?
I know. It's crazy.
It's like she doesn't come on until... like 52 minutes into the movie, and here we are, minute number 60, and we are still dealing with Madeline Kahn.
Well, and it's interesting because when I was preparing for this minute, I just kept thinking of how she continually steals the show when she's on screen. She really just grabs it, and she gets your attention the whole time.
Every scene she's in, it's like, it's Madeline Kahn, and everybody else is secondary.
Well, she's hilarious, and she's not afraid to put herself out there, and that, I think, what makes her funnier, because she goes all in and is not worried about looking silly, or she just goes for it.
She really doesn't. In this whole minute, it's one thing after another with her doing exactly what you just said.
You know, somebody said this just the other day to me. talking about if you were going to recast this movie, and someone said, well, you need somebody like Jennifer Aniston, who has that look, but Jennifer Aniston, same way, can play silly, make goofy faces, goofy voices, make fun of herself. And I think that's what people also are drawn to with Madeline Kahn.
I don't see Jennifer Aniston.
No, a Jennifer Aniston-like character, similar.
I don't see it.
What about... Because I think, because if you're going to do it younger...
Kudrow.
That is exactly who I was thinking. Lisa Kudrow. She
really?
played Phoebe on Friends.
Thank you.
Same thing. She's not afraid to make fun of herself. She's not afraid to take on the pratfalls and do goofy things and go over the top. And she didn't take herself too seriously.
What about Kristen Bell?
Oh, yeah, she's pretty good.
Kristen Bell would be a good one.
Yeah.
She also can act silly and goofy, but she's, good looking as well.
She's tiny.
And she's small, like Madeline Kahn. Madeline Kahn was only like 5'1" or 5'2".
I think Kristen Bell is just barely 5'1".
So before I set the stage for the minutes we're talking about, since this is the first time you're joining us, I know you mentioned some things before we started recording, but for the benefit of the audience who wasn't here listening, tell us a little about your thoughts of Blazing Saddles.
I get where you could see some of it's funny, but just don't find it that funny. Just don't find it that funny.
Is it just because it's a Western? Is it because the jokes don't feel right? I mean, what about it feels like it's missing for you? Because you're the first guest we've had that has found it to be not funny.
Well, maybe others were faking it.
I hope not.
Maybe I'm just being honest.
Not
Maybe it's
the scene we've got coming up
that
today.
Funny. I don't know. I guess the pratfalls, the silly. I don't know. I just don't find it.
So this isn't like your typical cup of tea. Like you wouldn't be going back to this movie if you could watch a comedy because you like comedies.
I love comedies. Just not this one.
For this one, for some reason, is it because of the racial humor? Is it because of
because I totally understand where they're going with that. That's not, that doesn't bug me.
How about the blue humor? Sexual innuendo, the kind of more locker room humor?
Oh, no, that's never bothered me.
Not your favorite, but do you remember, did your taste maybe evolve? Did you remember seeing it when you were younger? Because
yes.
A lot of people saw this in college and
I remember
high school.
liking it when I was younger, so maybe my appreciation of comedy has evolved and matured.
Or changed.
And you have remained immature.
Maybe.
That is true.
So I'm thinking that could be it.
My instantaneous defense mechanism wants to say bullshit.
But you're a 12-year-old boy at heart, so.
I am. Let's go 14. I just want to say I'm a teenager. I have a 14-year-old
Let's
brain.
split the hair here. Let's go 13.
Well, I've said so many times before, I'm just going to stay consistent. I've got a 14-year-old brain. Yeah, I don't know. I love this movie, but I think I love it because of all of the things, Walt, you and I have been talking about, all the layers and subtext. You need to know sometimes so much literature or culture. You need to know other plays, other movies, other actors to get a lot of these jokes. And for me, I think that's clever. It's clever writing.
Yeah,
and then you've got the underlying message of anti-racism.
And there's the passive aggressiveness coming out. Wow.
Yeah, you're not smart enough,
3
Susan,
minutes,
is what he was saying.
3 minutes,
Well,
slow clap.
I'll be honest with you, though. Before we started working through this season, I would have said that most of the men who came on would have said, I've always been a fan. The reasons I like the movie have changed over the years, but I've always been a fan of the movie. And the women who came on would have basically said what you said, that I don't find it as funny. I don't like the more blue humor. I don't get the pratfall kind of humor, and that they would not have had as much of an appreciation for it. We have actually had some surprises there. We've had 2 or 3 ladies who've come on and who really like it for different reasons. But I would say that overall, this movie's probably got a bigger male audience. And I think it's for a variety of reasons, but I would say that the male audience has always been stronger with this film.
Well, did you notice most of our female, I think if not all of them by the time we get through this introduction of Madeline Kahn, all wanted Madeline Kahn scenes.
They did, every one of them.
Well, she's hilarious. Why wouldn't you if you want to?
Right.
Okay, so she's the only thing funny in this movie.
I'm not, there's bits and pieces. I'm saying I find individual things... Okay, that was slightly humorous. You might have a little out of me. But in general, it's not going to be like a constant laugh track. It's going to be the occasional interspersed. That's about
But
it.
that's how I feel about Young Frankenstein. I don't find myself laughing out loud nonstop, but it's just when you look at it and go back to it, you just enjoy every bit of that movie. And
Right.
I think that's the same way here.
I
don't
liked
find myself
Young Frankenstein so much better than Blazing Saddles.
Well, and that's even more intelligently written in some respects when you think about the adaptation of Mary Shelley's
Shelley,
story.
yeah.
Well, and I was about to say, what we had through all of season 1 that we kept coming back to was Young Frankenstein was a comedy, is a comedy, but it's also, if you just turn the sound off, it's mostly a monster movie, and it's mostly a horror movie, and it's a throwback to those old great black and white Universal films. So there were layers to Young Frankenstein that I think if you come in and you're in kind of a giddy mood, you enjoy the movie. If you come in a more stoic mood, you enjoy the movie. Where with Blazing Saddles, it's more of a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even when you turn the sound off, you have Mongo punching a horse, and you've got an ox with yes and no written on its butt.
Right.
And you've got a lot more of the Mel Brooks humor to it. So if you aren't coming at it with a Mel Brooks sense of humor, you're probably not going to enjoy it as much.
Yeah, although we have said before that there are a lot of moments, if you had the sound down, some of the vista shots, some of the outside
Sure.
shots, you feel like, wow, this is a classic Western. I mean,
Yeah.
Technicolor shot. It's only one of 2 movies that he ever did in Panavision, that real wide 2.35:1 aspect ratio. I think he just didn't like that for the close-ups, and you can see he has a hard time sometimes when the camera's on tight with people because they go out of frame.
Yeah, and you do see that several times. Susan, do you like Spaceballs?
Well, that's funny. I did like Spaceballs when I was young. I thought it was hilarious. Now I can't watch it.
That's funny because both of us have said kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Now, we did have one guest who said he still loves it, and it's his
But he admitted
favorite.
that was like the first sort of Mel Brooks, and then he went back and discovered the older one, so that was sort of like his introduction. So maybe there's something to be said about when you first get introduced to a movie, it may stick a little harder, and maybe you tend to be a little more biased about it than if you saw other works later.
Sure. Well, and I think for Blazing Saddles, too, me and my friends have quoted the lines over and over and over again since we were about 10. So,
Yeah.
and maybe even younger than that. So that's another reason that it had such staying power with me, I think.
All right, but so not your favorite comedy, but you still appreciate the movie.
Yeah.
I'm going to be creatively editing this episode.
Hey, do you want honesty or bullshit?
Well, I just don't want people to send you hate mail.
You're not giving out my address, I hope.
No, but people can find things on the internet. Well, let's go ahead and set the stage for then today, where we left off yesterday. And we started with Bart looking at Lili von Shtupp. She's asking, do you mind if I slip into something more comfortable? His last line yesterday was, "Pitta, baby." And we talked about how it sort of got a reaction out of her. She wasn't expecting, I think, Bart to act the way he is. She's used to having complete domination and control when she brings men backstage to seduce and abandon. So we're going to take it right where we left off, where she's going to try to recover a little bit and say, well, why don't you loosen your bullets? And we're going to end with, is it true what they say about how you people are gifted? So let's go ahead and start at the very moment. And I know, Susan, it's harder for you because you weren't with us for the rest of the week. You're coming in on this Friday. But we did know that Lili von Shtupp's job is to seduce and abandon the sheriff.
Right.
But when he comes backstage, he's like in total command. He's totally cool. He's cool as a cucumber. He's playing that sort of 70s jive sort of, pizza, baby. And it's like, manishatsi? He's so in control. And then when she asks, hey, do you mind if I change into something? He takes a minute to start looking at her. He starts to her feet, then goes all the way up, a very slow checking her out, and then goes, pizza, baby. And it makes her go, oh. So my question to you is, do you feel that Lili is sort of taken a little off guard by the charisma and the style of Bart?
Yeah, I think it's human nature. When you're in control and you can control people, you're in charge, there's less of an attraction there because you feel like, I already have this. But all of a sudden when someone throws that back at you, there's a little intrigue and there's a challenge here. So I think that's possibly what her reaction is.
I think it's what Tierney said, our guest yesterday, was that it's sort of like the challenge, wait a minute, this isn't what I expected, but now I'm interested. Now maybe I want to play this game a little bit better.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it goes along, too, with a question that came up yesterday that I've kind of been chewing on since we talked about this, of did he know that she was trying to play him, or did he legitimately think that she was trying to seduce him? And one of the comments that one of us made was that through the entire film, he's always been kind of taken off or surprised when somebody does something negative to him.
Like the old woman in the street.
Right.
You know?
It really throws him for a loop. And going through this minute again, I don't think he knew. I think that he really thought she was legitimately interested in him, and that she really kind of gets thrown off by that too, of just what a sincere and nice guy he is.
What do you think, Susan? Do you think, because the question we were asking is, he's being invited backstage. He already knows he's the outsider. He already knows this town hasn't accepted him. Now, she's not from the town. She's a traveling performer, but gets the random note the one night he happens to show up at the Rock Ridge Saloon saying, "I must see you in my dressing room." I mean, my thought was, is he sort of on guard already, and that's why he's playing super cool, like, I'm not going to let you get the better of me? Or is he just, that's who Bart is, and because he's just such a natural good guy and he's just kind of confident and has a swagger, that's what naturally wins her over?
My personal opinion is that he is on guard because the town hasn't treated him too well, so any nicety has to be taken with suspicion.
So, let's go with your thought then, Walt. Let's say that that's correct, because that's where I kind of lean. Not that he's being manipulative to her. I think he's being himself, but I think he didn't let maybe that fanboy that would have maybe come out naturally if you thought, oh my God, the performer's interested in me. I think that's why it's tempered, because he's like, oh, wait a minute. All right, I'll play this one out, because you know what? She is hot. Well, I'll go backstage.
I think that's part of his personality too, because we've kind of talked about how smooth he is. He doesn't seem to go too far down or too far up very often.
Right.
Every once in a while he kind of slips below the bar, but normally he's kind of in a pretty tight emotional band. And he just kind of lets things play out, sees how things go, and he's just kind of a smooth operator kind of guy.
Yeah, I would argue only two times. One, when he decides, I got to hit him with the shovel.
Right.
At the very beginning, and then when the old lady took him off guard.
Those are the two that I was thinking of, too.
Well, and also, he's the straight guy. I mean, all the characters around him are blithering idiots, basically. I mean, so he's the only straight guy in this whole thing. He's so different from the rest of them.
Well, and I love how you say it. He's so different because obviously he's got the physical difference. We're talking about a movie that's trying to point out you don't judge people by the color of their skin. Everyone judged him immediately by a physical, observable difference. But he's also different in the sense he's a good guy. He's not trying to subjugate people. He's not trying to make people feel bad about themselves. He's literally trying to make everybody better.
Right.
And in some ways he does.
And he's intelligent. Again, the rest are blithering idiots. You wonder how the town existed. They're so stupid.
Well, I'd argue Hedley is not an idiot, but Hedley keeps sending the wrong people for the job.
Well, he's kind of an idiot.
He's kind of a weird idiot.
Yeah. But he does such a good job. He's really funny.
Yeah, we love Harvey Korman in this. This is just such a fantastic role. That's another one, though, Walt, you said when you went back and watched it, you were like, wow, he's really good.
He is really good. And almost in a way that, unless you're thinking about it, it kind of goes by you. But if you really watch his character through this movie, even in this minute, when he pokes his head in the door, he is such a strong character that you all of a sudden focus on him and you want to see what it is he's doing and up to.
And it's so funny because even though he's trying to get the job done, wants her to seduce the sheriff, what does he say? Ooh, can I have a touch or a feel or whatever?
Well, let's start off with the very first line here when she says,
"Why don't you loosen your bullets?"
Now, that's not a normal phrase. So where do you think, what is that coming from? What is she trying to phrase?
Assuming it's a euphemism for something inappropriate.
Well, I mean, but what would be the phrase you would normally say to somebody? If you're saying, I'm going to change into something, why
Slip
don't you...
into something more comfortable, relax.
Yeah, but what would you say? Let's say you had a, think way, way back when you had a man friend over. Would you say, like, because I thought it was like loosen your tie. Like, why don't you just loosen your tie?
Put your feet up? I don't know.
Yeah, but
I've never tried to seduce a man, so I'm not really sure.
We should give it a try sometime.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Remember, it's seduce and abandon.
I got chill out moron a few times.
Chill out more. Hey, ease up on the thrusters there, pal. Why don't you apply the brakes, okay? We just went out.
Can you wash some dishes? I got that a few times. Take the dog out.
But what would be some of the typical phrases that you would say to allow the person to, like, why don't you take your coat off? Loosen your tie. I always heard that, like, loosen your tie.
I have no idea. I mean, it would just relax. Loosen your belt. I don't know.
Oh, I like that. Loosen your belt. That's after a long meal.
Yeah, that would be more.
Why don't you loosen your belt?
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Of course, that would certainly have an innuendo to it.
Loosen your belt.
Depending on how you say it. Isn't it how everything is how you say it?
Well, I've done a couple of quick searches on loosen your bullets.
Okay.
And it always goes back to this scene. This seems to be the only place that anybody in pop culture has ever said loosen your bullets.
Specifically for this.
It was this. And I don't know if she ad-libbed it or if it's in the script.
Oh, no, it's in the script. It's exactly as it is. Won't you excuse me while I change into something a little more comfortable? And then turns around and says, why don't you loosen your bullets? She then goes backstage. But here's what the joke was supposed to be. We hear her leave behind the screen. We hear a tear of clothes. And then she comes out wearing the exact same outfit, only a different color.
Oh.
So the joke was going to be that the black sort of performing gown that she's in, the corset and the negligee, that she was going to change and maybe it's white. But it's like when she's saying I'm going to slip into something more comfortable, it's going to be the exact same thing.
Which I think would have been funnier.
That would have been funny.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting that they chose to go a completely different outfit, though, when they filmed it.
With a huge bow on the back. But one thing that's interesting, too, is when she says, why don't you loosen your bullets, they cut back to him, and he kind of has the same expression about that we do. He's like, what? It just kind of shakes his head and gives a little, look like, I have no idea what that means.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this, because this came out in 1974, and I always thought that she was supposed to be dressed like a Playboy bunny, just without the bunny ears.
Oh.
Is that kind of that sort of that Playboy bunny outfit that she would be wearing? Sort of the deep V-neck in the front, and then the big bow on the back. Like, could you imagine her being like working at the Playboy mansion? If she had bunny ears on.
It could be. I think it's just trying to let's look sexy.
Yeah, but it's also a performer's costume.
Oh yeah,
right?
Well, it has sequins, so it can't be. When you say comfortable, I don't think sequins.
Mm-mm.
I mean, see. I personally would have come out in a pair of sweatpants and a T-shirt if I said, let me get more comfortable. Although I don't think that would help with the seduction too much.
No.
That depends on the audience.
It depends on who's there. Yeah.
But I just like the fact that it's instantaneous. She goes back there and then immediately comes back out.
Right.
So I think that's what makes it probably funny, just the instantaneous.
Right, because I was going to say, there's no way she was wearing this under.
Right.
No,
And to be out of her clothes that fast and into this new outfit, I mean, that'd be impossible.
Well, you couldn't even get your clothes off that fast, let alone, put something else on.
Can I admit something that I only picked up when we started to slow this movie down 1 minute at a time? You hear the sound as she leaves, and I thought it was clothes ripping, and then she comes back out. It's not the sound of clothes ripping.
What is it?
We hear. It's the curtain. Not only is there a changing screen, she actually starts to pull the curtain closed behind her. There's a curtain behind the changing screen, and we don't see her open it, but it's the same sound in reverse. So she is behind the screen, and then or behind the curtain, and then back from the curtain.
So it's instantaneous, close open.
So it's still, but if you listen, when she disappears behind, you can watch. There is another curtain.
Oh, yeah. Huh.
And so that just reopens. But I, as a kid, up until this movie, when we started breaking it down, I always thought the joke was she was tearing the clothes off. We were hearing cloth
That's
ripping.
what I always thought, too.
And then all of a sudden, here she comes with her clothes on. Like she had been wearing this underneath. Like, I wear multiple layers of comfort.
Yeah, I never even thought about it one way or the other.
Yeah, I always thought it was clothes.
All right. So she does change and
I think in anything you say, it's the innuendo of how you say it. I mean, Friends, Joey, Grandma's chicken salad.
Well, wasn't there for a long time ago, I say a long time ago depending on people who watch Saturday Night Live, but wasn't there like the innuendo sketch and like everything was the most innocuous thing?
Yeah.
But the way they said it was like, I'd really like to string new wires on that telephone pole.
Oh, I have played out that sketch with a couple of my friends over and over again, where like every single thing that we say.
Well, when I did improv, that was one of the sketches we would do.
Oh, you did improv, huh?
Like to put that car in drive.
Did some sketches, eh?
You'd like my sketches, baby. You love my sketches.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'd like to perform a little improv.
So while they go perform improv, I will sit here and entertain the audience.
Let's insert 70s porn music right here.
Oh, and we're back.
Oh, that was fast. We hear the...
I feel refreshed.
Unzip, zip.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I feel refreshed and disappointed.
Yes, sort of my tagline. You'll feel refreshed and disappointed.
Disappointing women 3 seconds at a time.
I wish I could at least have the refresh part in my tagline.
Let's keep the minute at least. Disappointing women 1 minute at a time.
1 minute at a time.
The only way it can last long is we then have to break it down a minute at a time.
All right, today's minute 1.
Wow, it lasted 45 minutes. That's only because we had to slow everything down and talk about it.
Here's where he realizes the bed had been short-sheeted.
So much for the magic fingers. Anyway.
Can you insert a cricket noise right there?
It just depends on the bed. So she comes out. I got to ask this question. You sort of already alluded to it because it's got sequins, but when she comes out and goes, that's better. I mean, is that what you really think? Like, would you feel that way if you were wearing what she had been wearing before and now changing into this?
No, that's the humor. That's the irony. Obviously, it's not more comfortable. It's just the irony.
I mean, she says, I feel refreshed. I mean, why is it? Because it's airier now? It's
right.
That's about it.
That's what you say when you get into something more comfortable. So.
Oh, and she says, I feel refreshed. And then, isn't it bright in here? So she immediately wants to dim the lights on the sheriff, which I think is obvious at that point. I mean, can you be any more telegraphing what's coming next? I mean, she doesn't even wait to be cuddling up. So I'm going to say, well, okay, now I'm going to turn every light off on my way back to you.
And the fact that every single light and it's completely black is hilarious.
Right. Yeah, she blows out 2 candles basically, and now all we have is just a little bit of a glow from outside the window. But just as she goes to settle down with him, we hear a knock at the door. This is where I got to kind of slow things down a little bit because we have this in the script. There's a quiet rapping. Lily says, which we get here, pardon me, I'll be back in a moment. But she drops the line that was in the script. She's supposed to turn... Now, they may have refilmed it and just took it out in audio, but she's supposed to say, remember where we were. Now, I don't know where they were because she had just gotten over to the couch, but she says to Bart, remember where we were.
I wonder if that's in the TV version because that sounds familiar.
See, I didn't remember that at all. I actually marked it initially when I went through reading the script. And
maybe it's from something else, but that sounds familiar.
Well, you're thinking Star Trek 4, remember where we parked?
Yes, that was what I was thinking. the seduction scene in Star Trek 4.
Well, Kirk feels something for his ship. Gives up every other woman for his ship.
Good point.
Everyone remember where we parked. Now, she goes to the door, opens it a crack, and we see Hedley Lamar partially through the open doorway. Before we do that, though, she has an ad-lib, and I love this ad-lib. I don't know if this was on purpose or, they planned this ad-lib to the script, or if it really did happen that she stubbed her toe on the way across, because as she hits something or bangs something, she goes, God
damn it.
Yeah, hit the table.
It's so funny to me because she's trying to be all super sexy and talk soft, but then you hear her normal, almost deeper voice.
God damn it.
Yeah, and it's such a weird thing because it's like a seesaw back and forth between her being seductive and her being awkward.
Right.
And it's almost like a split personality thing because she's in the one thing and then bam, she's in the other and then she's right back. And
that's what makes it funny.
Right.
The parallel between the two opposite characters.
And she's kind of awkward even in her seductive mode, but it is so crazy. You know?
But remember, we talked about this a while back. When I say a while back, for us, it's because these only come out every day. But her performance, she's not the greatest performer on stage.
Oh,
and
no.
she looks awkward on stage, but she's hot. She's in the West. These guys don't care.
Right.
So she may think she's the greatest actress in the world. She's not, but she's awkward.
Well, she
has two assets that men like.
Yes, at least
her
two.
smile and her personality.
Yeah.
That's right.
She has two big, beautiful eyes.
Oh, does she have eyes?
So she says, damn it, then goes to the door. This is so Hedley. Like, he knows if he's been spying, we have to assume, because he's right at her outside her dressing room door. Bart has just walked in there pretty much less than 60 seconds ago. How's it going? Like, you got to at least give it some time, don't you?
Well, and at first I kind of thought, oh, he was waiting outside when he saw the lights go out, then he moved. But I would think if he saw the lights go out that he'd know things were going the right direction.
He'd give it a minute or so, too. I like how when the door opens, did they have like a single spotlight just on her head?
They
It's
must
so
have.
funny.
I love to help lighten the scene, and it's such a theatrical thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because it makes no sense that all of a sudden a light comes on, like a little crack of light that opens up and just it hits just her and him, so we know what's going on. And she even does the stage acting thing where she has her head away for a little bit, but she'll do the thing where she talks over her shoulder so we at least see her face in profile.
Right.
And I love it. It's like a play. How many times have we said that too, Walt? It's almost like it's a play in many times where the camera doesn't move a whole lot and the performers are all remembering that the audience is out here.
So if this was shot today, I would assume what they would do is have the camera on him. He'd say his line. They'd flip to another camera.
There'd be one in the hallway looking over his shoulder at her in the room. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is interesting how so many times we just get that one shot and all the action happens in that one frame.
Yeah, as if they're aware the audience is out here.
Or would they refilm it a different way, or would they do that? Because I think it's funny the way that happens.
No, absolutely.
The single light, was that on purpose, or was it just the filming technique of the time?
Well, Mel Brooks did start off in television. This is very much shot like you would sort of for the audience, because a lot of the sitcoms and the stuff that he did in the 60s and the 70s, the shows like Sid Caesar's Your Show of Shows and then Get Smart and things like that, there was an audience, and so they had sets where the audience, so they all came and fronted us unless they were doing street scenes and things like that. Anytime they were in a set, there was an audience there they were aware of. I think what you're supposed to get is that the doorway, when it opens, like that's light spilling from the hallway.
Right.
But the timing of it isn't exactly right. Because the door opens and then you sense the light fade in. It's not like the light's there as soon as the door's open. It comes up after the door's opened. So it's definitely there to highlight Harvey Korman or Hedley Lamar sitting there. So they do have a little exchange here, and this is where Harvey Korman will have something added to the script, because he does ask, how's it going? And she goes, which I love this, because this is back to Walt. We talk about this the whole time, how many times the same lines or the same expressions are echoed. She said earlier about wet sauerkraut. Well, she's saying,
It's like wet sauerkraut in my hands. By morning he will be my slave.
And Lamar, typical.
Splendid.
Then it's supposed to be she closes the door. But instead, Lamar looks down, sees how she's dressed, and is like,
Just let me have a little feel.
he's trying to reach his hand in to cup her through the doorway, knowing she's on a mission.
He's such a sleazebag.
And Bart's there in the room. It's not like it's in a separate chamber. It's not like she said,
Oh, yeah, no, he's
stay
right
up here in the
across. Yeah,
bedroom.
he's
I'm
10
going
feet
down to the
away.
front door, It's just like, let me just get a little feel.
Just a little feel there. Just a little.
It's so awesome. So Harvey tries to slip his hand in. I love she almost mutters, sounds like, and then turns her back to the door and goes like,
Where were we?
and then she has to put on like her voice, like she has to get back into character.
Yeah. And it's so obvious the way she, switches, just like when she walked in and stubbed her toe, tripped, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the sexy voice is gone.
Yeah. So she's like, still out of here. And then, where were we? And she gets that smile, and
She's really the only person who has the upper hand in the relationship with Hedley from the beginning. The entire movie, she has the upper hand with him.
she never lets him have the upper hand.
No, never.
Even later, which we'll find out with her even tied up, even when he's manhandling her.
Yep.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, she's always the stronger person. I think she's used to that in her relationships.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think she's used to being in control anyway, and I think that also helps when we see that telegraph that she doesn't even let Hedley have control over her.
Right.
It does give us more when we find out how this relationship's progressing with Bart. I think we need to keep that in mind. We won't get to it until early next week, but
even she tries to set the stage for it here because she says he's sauerkraut. He's wet sauerkraut in my hand.
Right. By morning he will be my slave.
Yep. So
I love wet sauerkraut.
Can I
it
ask
just
you?
makes no sense, but you get it.
Yeah, but no, it's sort of like a chicken who's trapped in a tractor's nuts. Caught in a tractor's nuts. It doesn't make any sense, but you somehow know exactly what it means.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, let me ask this, because I never thought of it this way. Because I'm always thinking making him like my sex slave. I'm going to be in charge of him. But is there something negative in our current generation hearing her say, by morning he'll be my slave?
You know, I got to be honest with you. I must be an idiot because I didn't even make that correlation.
Yeah, I never thought about it until
I did immediately. I'm like,
Really?
Yeah, is that what are they trying to say there? I immediately was like, well, that's a bit inappropriate.
See, and I never thought of it
never
that
did
way.
either.
Even though it's a blatant term, it's obvious. But
I guess I thought about it in the same way that she's got Hedley under her control. That, like every man who comes within her reach kind of falls under her spell.
Yeah, because she's the type of person that plays to her strengths. Her strength is her sexuality. So that's how she controls everyone. That's what she has. She's not the smartest person in the world, but she knows just enough to get what she wants.
Well, and it's funny that you say that. Now that I think about it, which they couldn't, but if they tried to remake this movie today, that line would not be in there.
No.
So,
well,
and I guess
they wouldn't remake the movie.
No, but if for
they
some
would
reason
change that phrase because they were worried of it being a trigger word, because I never even thought of it in that context. I just assumed she meant I will have control over him.
That's what I thought.
I will be able to dominate him. I will be able to have him wrapped around my finger.
Right.
Well, that's I think in the different where you're thinking. I mean, all you see is her outfit, so nothing else matters at that point. She could have been, a stream of curse words, and I don't think she meant anything except,
All I know is I would trade places with Bart in an instant.
Oh, no doubt.
Now, we will get to on Monday the disappointment when she asks about being gifted, because I am not particularly gifted, but that's for Monday. She does say...
Oh.
Well, folks, we'll see you Tuesday.
Man.
Yeah, it'll be a real short episode Monday.
I feel so lucky right at the moment.
She says,
Where are you? Oh, yes.
okay, it's not that funny.
That was pretty damn funny. I'm so glad Susan's here.
And we're going to end with this line, which I think is the setup. She says,
Tell me, Schatzi, is it true what they say about the way you people are gifted?
I can't wait to hear what the answer to that is.
So, this is another one of those things. As a kid, I had no idea why this was a funny line. I had zero clue what it even meant.
Oh, I didn't when I first watched it as well, but, you realize later on. So it takes on a whole new meaning when you see it again and you understand.
So what do you think it means?
I think sheriffs are very gifted.
Right. Very intelligent.
Smart, hard-working, honest men.
So where Hedley has the little short-nosed Derringer, he's got a long-nosed Colt 45.
He's a big old rifle.
Well, it's not a rifle, a pistol.
Well, maybe he's hiding it.
So tell me, Schatzi, is that a rifle in your pants, or are you just happy to see me? Is that a 10-gallon hat, or are you just enjoying the show?
Well, I think the only thing that confused me about this line is why did she call him Schatzi? But then I looked that up. Did you see that? So Schatzi is actually a German word that means treasure or sweetheart.
Yeah.
Oddly, it's normally used by men talking about women, but she, for whatever reason, uses it.
Well, in the context of a 1974 movie, if you knew that was more of a male-dominated term,
right,
for her to use that to sort of dominate him seems appropriate.
That's what I was thinking, too. That she definitely wants to set herself up as the king of the relationship.
Okay, this is really geeky in a little kid sort of way. But on The Parent Trap, that's the name of her horse, Shotzi.
Shotzi. Huh.
My treasure or my
now it makes sense because I never understood the name. Like, that's a weird name, but now it makes sense.
That does make sense.
I think he says to her earlier, wasn't it? Yeah. He says to her when he first shows up, "Wie geht's, meine Schatze?"
Oh, yeah.
So she just used it back. So tell me, Schatze, is it true what they say about how you people are gifted? All right. Well, obviously we're not going to find out what happens at this point because it ends right there. Our minute ends in mid-scene. So this is good because it's going to prolong into Monday. We get you back. You're going to hang out for a sleepover. We're going to watch some other Mel Brooks movies.
Sleepover, okay.
Yeah.
That was not in my contract.
Oh, you didn't read the fine print. You know, like the Willy Wonka sound?
I need my union rep in here.
You know, remember how the kids all had to read the contract?
Yeah.
You know, the car salesman goes like, no, I know how these things are written, man. He's like the honest car salesman, but he turns around and says, oh, I know how these things are written. You can't pull one over on me, pal.
South Park.
Yeah.
When he doesn't read the fine print.
Or on Seinfeld when he doesn't want the undercoating.
We don't so many references. But you didn't read the fine print, but you did sign the contract. So you're here till Monday. Actually, you're here till Tuesday.
Can we have a pillow fight?
Oh, see, it's in the way you say it. So you just said that. I was like, oh, yeah.
Or I could say, we have a pillow fight.
Yeah. What are we going to do? Have a pillow fight? Yeah, that'd be not so good, but have a pillow fight? You want to play Twister?
Smack you with my pillow.
I'll be in the other room eating pizza.
Yes.
Were you being bad? Do you need a spanking?
Okay.
Well, I know what his new ringtone is.
Yeah, now that's recorded. I'll be able to have that.
You're going to be in the grocery store. I'm going to call. Do you need a spanking?
Every time I get a text message. Do you need a spanking? Do you need a spanking? What? Is that a lot of message? I just keep texting myself.
Here's to hoping.
Before we establish what's coming on Monday.
Well, we've already established that you're going to be banned from Ingalls. That's one thing that's going to be established.
Before we tell everyone what's coming up in minute 61.
Turn your ringer off before you go to church.
Oh, dear Lord.
Okay, so
it's true.
I blame Susan for this.
All right, I didn't tell you who you were. Besides, you came back as our guest, but by day you actually are a personal trainer. You actually are used to seeing people dressed a little more comfortably, but then making them very uncomfortable.
That's right.
So tell us a little bit about what you do, and if somebody that might be maybe within the driving distance to you, where can they learn more about you?
On my website, SJD Health and Fitness.com or GeorgiaPersonalTrainer.com.
Excellent. Well, where can someone maybe learn how they can support our show? It's Friday. We ran the stinger at the beginning, thanking all of our current patrons, but maybe there's someone saying, well, how do I get in that opening?
Well, and I'm glad you didn't say, where would somebody want to learn more about us? Because after today, they probably don't want to. But what you'll want to do is go to patreon.com/thewilderride. You will be able to find all kinds of great past episodes that we've put together for our Patreon viewers or listeners. Listeners mostly.
See how I let you just let that go? I didn't do anything I could have.
You missed your opportunity.
No, I get to edit this. That's outtake number 12.
Of course. But if you go to patreon.com/thewilderride, you'll find all kinds of information on us there. You can help support our show. And there are different levels of support that you can offer where you can pick up some great items and some great behind-the-wall content that we've put together. We covered the movie Christmas Vacation back in December of last year, and we also covered Poltergeist last year. So
the classic one, 1982's Poltergeist.
The actual Poltergeist.
The real Poltergeist.
Yes.
There's another Poltergeist?
Unfortunately, someone tried to remake it, yes.
I didn't even know that. I'm not even being facetious.
It's like a garbage fire. I watched 2.5 minutes, and that was all I could stand.
Not good.
So, it's not
good at all. Sorry for those people that put all their heart and soul into a remake. Nope, not good.
Yeah, they got paid.
So, yeah, they did get better than us.
Yeah, that's right.
Unless you become a Patreon subscriber.
That's right. So you can help us out there. So anyway, that's patreon.com/thewilderride. Or you can go to our website, and our website is thewilderride.com. You'll see the Patreon link there and links to all kinds of other great stuff.
And come on back on Monday. We've started off a brand new week. We will continue this scene. We start off with the sound of what might be the world's largest zipper, followed by It's Twoo, and it will end with Please. Feels like that's just one scene altogether. I don't know what, but apparently something happens in between. And to find out, you got to come back Monday for episode 61 of this, The Wilder Ride.
You just need to loosen your bullets.
I do want to slip into something a little bit more comfortable.
Sweatpants and a t-shirt?
Absolutely.
Well, time to go eat some wet sauerkraut.
I like sauerkraut. Not by itself.
Just big scoops of wet sauerkraut.
Wet sauerkraut in my hands. Let's have a sauerkraut fight. Ooh, we're having a sleepover sauerkraut fight. We're going to play
You
sauerkraut
take something weird
twister.
and make it weirder. Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut twister. Let's play sauerkraut twister. I go first.
Yeah, no spank you.
You got your wish, by the way. You're like, I want to see her expression in studio. I got to see her rolling her eyes. I told you if we did it remote, you'd still feel it. Now you get the double whammy.
But, yeah, I get the double whammy.
No whammy, no whammy, no whammy. Oh, whammy. Whammy. All right.
Boy, if you can make Susan uncomfortable, you're really doing something here.
Yeah, good luck.
It's going to be the opposite.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I knowingly did this. I invited her
I
on.
thought you meant Susan was going to make you uncomfortable.
Right. That's exactly what's going to happen. I'm going to be like, well, remember how you want to go out and grab something after? You got a spare room? I'm not going back home tonight.
I'll sleep in your car.
I'll sleep in the car.
do
Sleep in
anything.
the drive. Maybe just throw out a pup tent or something for me.